So there are three truths about women in dating that you should hear as a young man, and that you've probably never been told by your mother or your absent father. See, I used to be that clueless kid as well, not getting any dates, no attention, not sleeping with any girls. To the point where, having learned these truths, over time I've managed to build an abundance of feminine women in my life, and I want the same for you. So, if like me, you were also raised by a single mother, or maybe your dad was around, but he just wasn't that strong father figure, that role model that you needed, you probably have no clue how to behave like a secure, confident, attractive man around women. So if that sounds like you, then you should keep watching the video. And by the way, I'm releasing a dating course that's going to help young men transform their dating lives, especially men who were raised without father figures, raised by single mothers. It's got all of the knowledge I've gained over more than 7 years of doing this stuff. And the pre-sale is now on. It's the cheapest it's ever going to be. The truth number one is that nobody gives a fuck about you. So what I mean by that is, you might have all of these pre-made excuses in your head for why you're not attracting the women you want. Maybe you're short, maybe you're a particular skin color, or you're introverted, so you think you can't chat up girls like the charismatic guys can, or maybe you're poor and you can't take girls out on dates, and so on. The truth is, no girl is going to come to you out of pity and say, oh, it's okay, you've got this disadvantage, I'll still go out with you, I'll still get with you. Because, you know, you've got this disadvantage, it's not in your control. Nobody's going to come and put their arm around you and kind of lead you to a nice dating life. It's just not going to happen. And I'm sure deep down you realize this. So what to do? Well, you take some fucking ownership of what you can, right? Okay, you're short. Not much you can do about that. You know, maybe you can wear some of those like Chelsea boots, or, you know, the sneakers with the big insoles, and, you know, gain a few more inches of height. But otherwise, you know, you can get into good shape. You can definitely work on your social skills. You can work on your career, your status. There are loads of things in your control. So I'm basically telling you to stop being a bitch and just actually see, okay, what's actually in my own control, and then not worry about the stuff that you can't control. And by the way, no matter what excuse you've got in your head for why you're not getting girls, there are guys out there with the same disadvantage, maybe worse than you, who are getting several girls that you would die for. So you really have no excuse here. Truth number two is that women will only sleep with men they respect. If you're not a man who can impose respect in front of women, then they're not going to get sexual with you, and they will go fuck the man who does impose respect and has a backbone. And that's true whether you're meeting a new girl or whether you're happily married for 20 years. If your woman stops respecting you, she will lose attraction and she will stop sleeping with you. And if you were raised without a father figure, you probably haven't been told or shown how to actually be a stand-up man and how to protect your boundaries confidently, but also without polarizing or like aggressively pushing the woman away. And if you were raised by a single mother, then you probably grew up to be a bit of a people pleaser, you know, avoiding confrontation, and maybe you're quite reticent when a girl does something, does an injustice or something that annoys you, to say something back, because you're afraid that she'll leave and you don't want to cause any hassle. And that's where the trouble begins. One of the biggest mistakes in dating that men, especially young men, are making is they're letting women step all over them, letting her get away with things that she shouldn't, because they're afraid of starting confrontation or that she'll get angry and leave if they say something. And that's what's causing the decline in respect, the decline in attraction, and then the cheating and the breakup eventually ensues. Women deep down want a man who can put them in their place and who can protect his own boundaries. And that's not saying you should be aggressive towards women. Obviously, don't be stupid with this. But if she does something that doesn't sit well with you, you should make it very clear. Just firmly tell her, I don't like that, that's too far, stop it, and then see how she reacts. You don't have to be an absolute jerk about this, but you do have to clearly state your boundaries and give her some feedback when she crosses them. Truth number three is that women will fuck the degenerate fuckboy much faster than they will the guy who's boyfriend material. And you've probably already seen this happen, or maybe you've been the guy benefiting from it. But it might come as a surprise to a lot of young men, right? Because why would a girl drop down and fuck this guy who is a bit of a degenerate, who probably won't commit to her, and leave the guy who's actually good for her for a potential relationship, waiting for weeks, months? Or I'm sure you've heard of so many situations, like I have as well, where the girl would complain about some guy, maybe her boyfriend's being an absolute jerk, or he's done something nasty to her, and, you know, all the girls would be around her consoling her. Or maybe you're that friend zone guy who she's crying on the shoulder of, and by the way, if you're that guy, you need to get the hell out of there. But the point is, I'm sure you've heard of stories where girls complain about guys only to then a week later figure out that actually, oh, they're fucking them again, they're back together, all is good. Why? Because that's how much respect matters. So maybe she thought the guy was a complete asshole and know what she's actually looking for, but she respects him and she will still have sex with him. That should be enough to tell you that you absolutely have to have boundaries and impose respect with women. What you have to realize is that sex is the biggest leverage that women have over men. And so if a girl sees a guy who is boyfriend material, he's a good long-term prospect, she's going to want to keep him around by withholding sex, because as soon as she gives him what he wants, then the power dynamic in the relationship will shift in a man's favor. And so she's going to delay the sex, delay, and eventually she'll give it to him, but in small portions, just to keep him enticed, to keep him around, so that he doesn't get satisfied and completely leave her. Meanwhile, she knows that the fuckboy isn't going to stick around and that he will leave her after 1, 2 nights or a week. And so she doesn't have to keep playing this game of rationing sex with him. She can just fully give in to her urges and sleep with him the whole night. And chances are this guy is probably quite fun, spontaneous, quite charismatic, and that entices her even more. So I'd encourage you to take a moment, maybe pause this video or after the video, and really sit down and think about which type of guy you are. Which archetype do you fit into? Are you more of that live in the moment, spontaneous fuckboy? Or are you more of the committal, boyfriend material guy who's quite serious and he just wants that wholesome girl for the long term? Myself, I know that I'm in the latter category, but I've really split tested this. I've tried it both ways. So I've tried going on dates where I would really showcase the boyfriend qualities I have, that, you know, I'm quite serious, I'm quite into my business productivity, my fitness, I don't do any drugs, and I don't really go out partying and get blackout drunk. And I've also had dates where I would let that spontaneous personality shine. I'd be a bit cheekier with girls, and not being fake, but just highlighting some of the traits that are still in me more on those occasions. And I can tell you that the difference in terms of the effort it took me to actually sleep with girls is so big between the two types. It's been so much easier doing it the fuckboy way than it has been every time I've shown my full boyfriend potential to a girl. So am I saying you should turn into a degenerate and ruin your life to attract some women fast? Absolutely not. You know, everything good that you're doing in your life, you should keep doing. Your fitness, your productivity, your money, your health, you should always look out for that. But you have to realize that that's not what will initially attract women. You need to let that spontaneous side of you shine, not being afraid of being a bit cheeky or just kind of being a bit sexual, like saying something that you might not even think is appropriate. Something like commenting about her body or her looks, or like looking at her in a sexual way on a date. You need to be doing all of those things. And once you're sleeping with a girl and once she's invested in you, then you can feed those boyfriend traits and show them more and more, and, you know, really be your authentic self, if that's what you want with a girl. But don't do it before, because it's just going to make it an uphill battle for you. And chances are she will have some other guy on the side that is spontaneous, is a fuckboy, and that she'll go off with. And you might end up losing her because she's now sleeping with him. This is the dark truth that, you know, probably your single mother never told you about, but somebody has to. So that's it for now. Hope the tips helped. Let me know in the comments what you think. And once again, the course, the preset is in the description if you want to check it out. I'll see you in the next video.